Arizona football today. The Wildcats in Las Vegas tonight taking on the BYU Cougars in the season opener. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howe for a 11th season here on television. U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, let's dive immediately into this. You actually think the Wildcats can win this game tonight. Why is that?
I think the Wildcats can win the game, but we got to do a couple key things here. We got to make sure Algier, their running back, stays off the field as much as we can because they're going to bruise him with us. They're the big uglies up they got in front. They got 6'8", 6'7", 6, all those guys. How are we going to be good on third down efficiency? Can we get off the field? If we can do that, get a couple turnovers, and I got a little bit more confidence in our defense than people think, because I think with our blitzing that we haven't blitzed in 100 years, I think it could cause some problems.
All right, well, let's start on the defensive side of the ball for U of A, since you kind of went offense there. Jaron Hall is going to start at quarterback, first black quarterback in the history of BYU, which is astonishing to me, but that's where we are. He's an experienced kid. He's been in that program for 4 years. I want to, though, talk about the U of A linebackers, because we've got some fresh faces in there with Trayshawn Howard and Kenny Hebert. I mean, these guys just got here, Glenn, on August the 5th, and they're already, hey, welcome to the program, you're starting game one.
I think that's awesome. I think they've worked hard, and you guys understand that's been our weakest position for years, and now I think it's one of our strong positions. But the key thing, if those linebackers, they got to do their assignment and alignment. Those are such important parts of this defense and a blitzing defense.
Yeah, and you talk about assignment and alignment, Glenn. That's because there's so much aggressiveness in what Don Brown does. You can't be out there freelancing and thinking about yourself.
No, you can't. You really can't. You got to be in your gap where you're supposed to be. If you're going to be in the A gap, be in the A gap. Be there, and be there with bow tie on. You have to be there to be able to do your job. That's what they want you to do. In a blitzing defense, do your job. Things will happen.
And that could be tough, though, for grad seniors coming in.
Yes, it is tough for them. You know, they came over here because they want to get a little bit more exposure in the big conference. So you have to be disciplined. And that also shows the pros. If you're in a blitzing defense and you are disciplined and you're not a freelancer, you're not a coach killer.
Yeah, these linebackers are going to be so key, because if you can shore up the middle, that was really, to me, the big weakness last year with this Arizona defense. Christian Roland Wallace is going to hopefully improve as he has played on that one side of the corner. We're going to get a chance to see Isaiah Rutherford, who's looked good when we've seen him. He had some injuries in fall camp, so hopefully he's recovered from that. It appears you've got two solid guys once again on the corners like you did a season ago.
I think our back end is good. I really do. I think they're experienced. They're a little less weight, okay? They slimmed down a little bit, so they're looking good, looking stronger. I think they're more experienced and they have confidence. I think they're going to be better because now we're going to have 1001, 1002, and hopefully we're hitting the quarterback. Hopefully we're getting there. We haven't got to the quarterback in years, so I think this defense is going to help and make our DBs look a lot better.
All right, let's flip over to the offensive side of the ball, and you mentioned the quarterback position. It's going to be a two-quarterback situation, but you mentioned last week that if a guy got hot, you'd like Jedd Fisch to stay with that person. I asked him about that in the press conference on Monday. Let's hear exactly what he had to say. Jedd, if there's a scenario where the first quarterback comes out and leads you on 2 touchdown drives right away, is there an opportunity for that person to stay in and there not be 2 quarterbacks playing on Saturday?
Yes, 100%. I'm not bound to put another person in if we have 2 touchdown drives in a row. Call that a champagne problem.
So, Glenn, if Gunnar Cruz comes out and leads this team on a couple of drives early that are successful, he'll stay with Gunnar Cruz.
I'd back him too. I'd say, listen, dude, let's go. I'd say, we have to be able to do that. We have to be able to make adjustments. And I don't fault Coach Fisch for that. I think that if he's got a hot hand, the guy's got a hot hand, do it. But the hard thing is when you yank him. When do you yank him? You yank him when he think that he's a little bit nervous and he can't handle the situation, yank him before he makes a big mistake, or do you just let him ride it out and let him work through it? You don't know that. We're going to find that out, I think, in the first quarter.
You know, my offensive MVP is back in Stanley Berryhill, who basically caught every single thing thrown to him in fall camp. The guy, though, that I want to see a major jump from, Glenn, is Tavion Cunningham. We saw a little bit of a flash when he had that long touchdown in the opener last year against USC. But what I want to see is them get him in space and utilize his speed in the open field. There was a play in the spring game here that I want to show where he literally caught the ball over the middle here, put his foot into the ground, got the cornerback to miss, and then made a move up the field. Those are the types of plays I want to see for Tavion Cunningham this season.
What I think they did, they took his track spikes off, okay? Put football spikes on it, and understanding that you got to get underneath the hip and accelerate faster. When you're long striding and you're out there, you can't make those cuts. I think he's done better on his routes. When he catches the ball, acceleration, those are the kind of things you have to make. Those are the small things that coaches notice and understand and change and make better players.
Well, nothing on this offense, though, Glenn, is going to go unless we see improvement play up front from this offensive line. You've essentially got the 5 guys back. Essentially, really, the 6 guys who primarily played last year are all back. You're adding back Edgar Barola, who we saw flash and looked good in 2019 in the times that we saw him. They've got to be so much more improved and healthy. We want to see guys like Jordan Morgan and Donovan Laie stay on the field for 12 games this season.
And what the key is that what Brendan has been saying is that making sure they're making the right steps. They're doing the right proper technique. Technique is so important as an offensive lineman. Getting the hand placement, making sure that you're doing stepping butt to butt when you're doing a double team and getting up to the next level. It seems that he's pleased with the technique and the steps. People don't understand. It's just not just coming off the ball and it's your steps. Are you making the right steps so you don't get beat inside? Are you making the right steps when you're getting a kick in the slide to get an outside rusher? Are you doing the steps? And I think they've gotten better on that, and we're going to find out because BYU is going to come strong with their rush, and they're also going to be tough up in front in the front 4.
All right, let's give you some BYU players to write. You mentioned Algier, the running back, earlier. I'm going to go with Gunnar Romney, another gunner. We got a bunch of gunners in this game, from Gunnar Cruz to Gunnar Maldonado and Gunnar Romney. And we mentioned this when we were talking last week, Glenn, an Arizona kid. They'll come in. There's no Tucson kids on their roster right now, but they've got several Chandler kids that they're taking from the best programs here in the state of Arizona and finding kids that want to come up there and play in Provo.
And Gunner's 6'3". He's a big kid, but you know what? We got some strong. Wallace and those guys are strong kids. They're bigger. They're stronger. Those kids can handle them. But you always have to look out for BYU is their tight ends. Their tight ends are always in the mix. We have been a tight end All-American maker. You make defense. We cannot stop. And I think that Don understands that. Coach Brown understands that, and he's going to key on that. I think he's going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, we missed Matt Bushman, a Tucson kid, by a year, but he's going to be on the roster for your Oakland Raiders. So he might not be playing Saturday at Allegiant Stadium, but he's going to be playing on
Practice
Sundays.
Squad. That's good.
Up there at Allegiant Stadium as a member of that ball club. All right, it is the Wildcats and the BYU Cougars. Arizona football today. We'll be back to break it down for you on Sunday night.